Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Finally, we are in the second set of the evening. It's DePaul University against St. Lawrence College. My name is Jay McTucker, and with me is Gore Miser. In case you forgot, because we've been around for a while, lots of technical issues, lobby crashes, but we are finally into this game. And how are you feeling about these team comps so far?
I mean, again, I'm not feeling the Scylla pick, but I'm interested to see how it's going to work out. The rest of the team for DePaul is looking relatively strong, nothing too out of the ordinary, and the same thing kind of goes for St. Lawrence on the other side. The only thing maybe going to kind of fall back is this Fenrir, but I've been seeing Fenrirs that have performed exceptionally lately, so I expect to see something very similar out of Zingester.
Yeah, and going on to that Scylla thing, the Scylla topic that we were going on earlier, where she doesn't have the best push, they compensated for this by bringing Paradox into the mid lane, the jungler, to help out with that clear. And now they're going to be pushing their way up towards this speed bump. Over into the solo lane, Zotrain is doing a fairly good job holding out on a 2v1, but it is Amaterasu, and he doesn't really have the best clear pre-level 8, 9.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for Zotrain in this kind of scenario, especially up against a Nike who right now is performing relatively well. Of course, with her passive being tuned down a little bit overall, not going to have as strong of a late game, but her early game not very affected by that. And we will see a speed buff successful invade coming out from DePaul, being able to take that away, get a little bit of experience. They lose the fire elementals, but they also got right-hand harpies. So overall, I mean, they're farming really well. Jawinner just going to be able to kill Donkeybringer.
Yeah, it's going to be first blood going over the way to the Hunter player. It's going to really start bringing them up and ahead as we see a bit of an interesting start pop out. No starter item on the Hunter player, just boots 2 and tier 1 going towards Dev Gauntlet. Calder chasing him down a little bit, but now Dragon Vapor is not in the best spot as minion aggro is pouring onto him. The damage from Cardinal Leaf, one more auto, and Jay Winner is going to pick up the second kill.
Beautiful shot coming out from Jwinner there to be able to pick that up. Getting 2 kills early on, even with a build, no starter item, a little bit unorthodox, he has that damage going down for him. And I mean, now 2 kills under his belt, going to be able to get that farm and be able to lead a little bit further, as Hunbat's going to be able to take advantage of the fact that there's no Hunter on the side of St. Lawrence, and he's able to come to this jungle for free.
Yeah, Cardinal's going to rotate over with them, help drop this purple buff. And not only that, the red buff has been taken away as well. 3 out of the 4 buffs have been taken away from St. Lawrence in the early stage of the game. And now the Oracle Harpies are the next target to be looked at. Ooh, unfortunate teleport there from Paradox. Unfortunately, he was able to recover that. And the Oracles will also go the way of DePaul.
A nice free set of vision there in the middle of the map on the left-hand side for them. They are going to have to fall back a little bit in the mid lane just because Ra's clear now coming online, sitting at level 4. He's going to be able to push that wave a lot harder than we'll see out of Scylla. Of course, with Paradox helping, this should kind of even out. We saw no minions got pushed under the tower there, which is very good for DePaul here as they are farming up. And it actually looks like we're going to be seeing Paradox going for a gank. Fear No Evil coming out. I'm a Monster queued up. King Twist not going to connect with it under his heel. He will ultimately fall down as Paradox finds that last auto. And now Zingester getting rooted down. Crush going to get some damage, but ultimately going to get out by just the skin of his teeth. But Paradox wants blood.
Paradox is smelling it, but the Brutalize is going to be enough to keep him out of that. Maybe taking up a little bit of minions and tower shots there, but going to be able to get out no problem. And Zingester so close to that, to perishing there. Another person very close to death there was Donkeybringer over in the duo lane. Got pushed out, had a 2-man freeze from Cardinal Leaf, and unfortunately almost spelled their death.
You know, the I'm a Monster might not have connected, but Twizzix, honestly, I feel like trying to prove me wrong a little bit. I've been questioning the Scylla this entire time, and I know, we both kind of feel it's way more late game, but right now he's sitting at level 6. He's got the level advantage onto Ra, and that's really going to be all he needs to kind of control this game. If he had fallen behind, it would have been a different story, but right now, DePaul is looking very strong.
Not only that, Zotrain actually has the wave advantage over in the solo lane right now over a Nike. Somebody who has a very strong clear, even at level 2, gets 3 shots of that rend if they so wish to. But right now, tower being pushed out, Zotrain able to do what they can, and that's the counter right there, is the silence from Zotrain, able to stop out Secular's Nicator, and almost takes them out with the shot from the mirror.
very, very close to having a snipe kill right there just from the solo. And honestly, getting soloed at this point in the game, when you're already losing lane, being forced back is bad. Of course, it's lucky for the Nike here that they did not die under that tower. Of course, they are still going to lose some tower poke and possibly have an invade. Blue buff did just spawn up, and they should be able to see that as Fenrir did just clear that off the map. It wasn't there. He's making that rotation over, but Zotrain, I feel like, could push this fight if he really wanted to.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to stick around just a little bit. He's going to get stunned out, but a beautiful, dazzling offense is going to stop the further aggression. What? Actually elected not to turn around on that Brutalize. I'm very curious about that one. Took one extra shot more than he needed to. That could have spelled disaster for him, but is going to inevitably get out and has that teleport to come back to lane. One question I do have for you is, one thing that we've seen out of a lot of mid laners now is the Bumba's Mask pickup. Why has Bumba's Mask not been picked up by this Scylla?
So, Bumba's Mask is actually, I had a discussion with Freight about this. Right now, on a mid laner, it's really good when you're making rotations with your jungler. Like, you're working as a team. And honestly, it might just be that the Scylla doesn't quite have, not necessarily the trust in her teammates, but really just the feeling that they're going to be farming together, they're roaming together. I mean, as we see, Paradox is on this right-hand side. Maybe Paradox doesn't like it. Maybe they're just going for something a little bit more safe, opting into that physical protection to kind of stop the aggression. Maybe expecting Fenrir to come over. I really feel like the Scylla is more aiming to play it safe, whereas on the other side, we see Ra picking up that Bumba's Mask, is going around with his jungler, trying to clear things out, farm up, and ultimately, it just kind of comes down, I feel like it's a preference thing, but I mean, DePaul showing that you don't need it.
Yeah, they're doing a very good job on, as we mentioned, Twizzix proving to us that, sure, Scylla's not early game, but her jungler did help her get through this very early stage of the game, and now she's at the point where she can basically full clear the wave with just her crush and a few auto attacks to take it out. So no more worries for Twizzix. Has his mobility, has his damage online, and Zotrain going to pick up a kill onto Zing Jester in the solo lane. A 3 against 2 goes in favor of DePaul.
And while they are low health on DePaul, no one's getting aggressive from St. Lawrence College, and that is going to lead them up 5 kills to none with a 4,700 experience lead and a 2,700 gold lead sitting in favor of DePaul right now. If early game is what's going to control it, if they can contain this lead and just continue the aggression that they've had so far, they should be able to kind of close this one out relatively quickly. But right now, I mean, no towers have fallen. Only small skirmishes have happened. St. Lawrence College still have the ability to fight. And once team fights start coming up, that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, I'd like to see more rotations over to this duo lane, though. They're just letting Scotty kind of free farm here. And as we mentioned prior, Scotty really doesn't have any way of getting out. She has the carpet that she can lay down, that giant ice circle, to where she can walk on and get faster movement speed. I believe it's 40% movement speed she now gains by walking on top of that. And she also gains it when she leaves the circle. It's no longer just on there. So she does have the mobility increase, kind of like an AMC Hive almost, where you're in the radius and you still can kind of go a little bit further. But nobody's making any attempt to really aggress onto her at this stage of the game. And if you let Scotty free farm, and especially if you leave Scotty alone, your towers are going to be gone.
And that's going to probably make a large impact, especially because right now, DePaul, they're traveling in a close-knit group. They're picking up single picks. But like you had said, like if you just leave Scotty alone, and at this point, I mean, Khepri, if he makes rotations, if Scotty can find a solo kill onto Dwinner here and get control of this lane and just kind of push forward, that tower is going to be gone. And then eventually the tier 2 and so on and so forth, until eventually, you know, all of a sudden you're missing these towers that you thought you had when you were in the middle of a team fight. Of course, that is kind of very dependent on Dwinner really kind of making more rotations than we've seen so far. And Dragon Vapor being able to perform a little bit stronger than we've seen so far right now is Cardinal Leaf going to get ulted down by Scotty. And I feel like that didn't quite go as they planned. Calder going to get knocked away, and the damage is done onto Cardinal Leaf. But he doesn't seem that much worse for wear.
Nah, he's going to be able to walk away from that no problem at all, sitting about 3rd HP, but just getting the farm with his Hunter, and he's going to be able to leave the lane, no problem. But looks like they're going to try and get a bait here, see if they can start and try and pick off Dragon Vapor. Khepri did not spot out the rotation. Paradox is going to be able to come from the top side on this. They're doing a strong job baiting as they're not getting too aggressive yet. Fear No Evil hits 2, and the freeze with the Ice Carp is going to take down Dragon Vapor, and Donkey Bringer is going to fall as well. Double kill goes the way of Paradox.
As much as I would like to say for Dragon Vapor being able to kind of do anything on the Scotty split push wise, that is going to put a damper on it, because as long as Dwinner has the ultimate, is able to rotate over there, that is going to change things. As Zing Jester going to get frozen out, Crush going to just burst him down. The snipe not going to connect with anybody, and King Twist going to get pushed out by Paradox. Gold Fury started up one more time by DePaul University, and this looks like it should be clean.
Is he using a magician skin? Because I don't think I've ever seen a Fenrir just disappear like that. I mean, my man's a straight up magician. I mean, he is a jester, so I mean, it makes sense. He was just gone. As soon as he jumped in, the entire team turned to him. Cardinal Leaf got off a perfect freeze. The purification was used, but it didn't matter because the damage was there. Was able to take him out and pick up a free Gold Fury along with a kill for DePaul University. And right now, they are sitting at a very comfortable 56, almost 5,700 gold lead and 9,000 experience ahead.
And right now, Twizzix, I feel like in picks and bans, of course, when you see it at the same level, a Scylla is going to fall behind until you hit late game. But when you let Scylla get ahead, when Scylla is able to farm as well as Twizzix has been able to this game, now sitting at 1-0-2, one level ahead of the Raw, but ultimately now 4 levels ahead of that Fenrir. Zing Jester not able to do anything, and I feel like him focusing down that Scylla really would have been what was necessary to kind of shut him down, as he's going to once again try to fight, but Fear No Evil going to be able to do so much damage, and just a couple hits from Paradox and from Zotrain really just going to erase him off of the map.
And meanwhile, over in the dual lane, Jay Winter was forced under the tower. Calder chasing him out. The ultimate was used from Dragon Vapor to try and continue to chase and get a kill, but unfortunately, not enough damage yet on that dog. Calder does scale much better with level, so once you start putting points into Calder, that's when he gets better. Rune of the Hunt is a very tricky ability because it's one that you want to level, but you don't want to level out of order. Scotty's one of those characters who you can really pick your path. It's not like Scylla needs her Crush, then she needs her Sikkim, and then Sentinel. Scotty can kind of pick between going into her 1, then leveling her 2, or leveling her 3. It all just kind of depends on the situation.
And we're going to be seeing aggression once again. Cardinal Leaf trying his best to fight anyone on this dual lane, whereas on the other side of the map, we're going to see Zotrain and Paradox going in as far as they can, getting a lot of damage down. Zing Jester once again looking like he's the main target, going to use his dump, trying to get just out of that damage. Going to dodge a little bit, but ultimately the double kill going to be coming down for Paradox as he picks up 2.
Solo lane is just a farm fest right now. Zotrain showing that, yeah, I'm a mid to late game Amaterasu, but I'm winning in this early stage of the game. The freeze onto Donkeybringer in the duo lane is going to force out the ultimate. The revive is good enough to keep him alive for now, but just a couple more auto attacks from Jay Winter would have been able to finish off there. Donkeybringer is going to be able to just walk away.
Now he's barely going to be able to get out of that one. Of course, his ultimate now being down will give a little bit of an advantage overall for DePaul University the later the game goes, or at least in the next couple team fights wherever Khepri is involved. And Dragon Vapor forced to just kind of hold this lane on his own. 2 towers down in the right lane. Mid lane is being pushed right now. St. Lawrence College are starting to fall behind, and I honestly want to put a lot of weight. King Twist and Dragon Vapor, I feel like, are going to be the ones who kind of have to push for their team to win.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want, is you need your mage to carry you into the late stage game. You need your ADC to be able to do the same thing. I mean, that's in their title, is the attack damage carry. And right now, Dragon Vapor is sitting 2 levels behind and is not able to get the stacks that she needs onto those Dev Gauntlets. Right now, she really can't do much of anything as Paradox makes a rotation. Fear No Evil into the freeze, and the Root's going to keep her alive for just a second, but Cardinal Leaf's going to pick up 1. Sunder out onto Donkeybringer. Twizzic's going to pick up Zing in the mid lane. Paradox is going to finish it up and get the kill onto Donkey.
Twizzic's ultimately going to fall as Nike picks up the first kill for her team, but getting chased down. Zotrain not wanting to let this one get away. And with the rotation coming out from Paradox right now, I don't see this one going well. He's going to land down, get a couple of autos. Overhand smash going to be able to confirm that one. And King Twist, they want the target, but they're not going to tank the tower too long. And ultimately, while they were able to find 1 kill, too many deaths for St. Lawrence right now, and it looks like there's going to be a tier 1 tower in the left-hand lane falling down.
Maybe not. Instead, they're going to like to go over towards this speed buff. Paradox going to be able to pick that one up for himself, as he and Zotrain now sitting at level 15. They are ahead of the level a minute mark that so many solo laners typically try and go for. But in this case, it's the solo and the jungler. sitting over this level a minute kind of lead. But in the mid lane, again, King Twist being the target. Dazzling Offensive is going to be targeting down onto him. Forces the early purification and the Sanctuary out of him. He may not be getting out of this one alive. Actually, he is.
Barely able to escape that one. Just one auto away, but the tower doing a little bit too much damage, and with the rotation from his team, no one wanted to sit too far under it. But Fear No Evil and the Freeze erasing Zing Jester one more time off the map. Khepri is here, Dragon Vapor is here, and they're going to get connected with, as I'm a Monster came out, Twizzix trying to do some damage. Crush going to hit hard in the backline, and Khepri just ulted himself very prematurely.
Yeah, that was a very early ultimate. There was no major burst damage that would have been able to take him out just yet. That overhead smash coupled with the Heartseeker doing a lot of damage. The freeze and the wall are barely going to allow Donkey Bringer to actually get out of that one. The wall was just slightly off the mark. Two-man Sick'em into Crush is going to put Seleucus? Nike and Khepri into critical condition. I couldn't think of how to say his name.
Honestly, that is exactly how I feel the same way about that name. That's why I've been going with Nike. And,
Nike.
I mean, so far going with Nike hasn't seemed to be going too well for St. Lawrence. I mean, sitting at 1-2, that's the only kill that they have. And really, Zing Jester has fallen very far behind now. You know, you talk about the level a minute, the kill a minute kind of level. We don't often get to see the 0.5 level a minute, sitting at level 8 and just ticked over to 9, almost at 16 minutes. It's a very rough game for this Fenrir.
And Fenrir, one of the early to mid game monsters amongst the assassins. His whole job is to walk over, play fetch, pick somebody up, bring him to your mid laner to just immediately burst out. Typically, you try and take out the carries of the other team, or if you're feeling good, you can try and take out the support player. But up on the top side of the mid camp here, a fight is breaking out.
Now we're going to see Donkey Bringer taken down. Crush not quite going to connect, but Nike Ultimate Sentinel of Zeus going to be used to get that shield, but it's not going to shield him for long as he's going to get erased off the map. Ra going to be the next target. A beautiful wall coming out from Cardinal Leaf. Going to stop that. I'm a Monster confirming the kill. Going to go for the double tap, and Zing Jester, the only one left alive at level 9, going to be not taken down. He barely escapes that one, but the tier 2 is the main target here, and with 4 kills under their belt, DePaul University are going to be a wrecking force looking for the Phoenix.
And with Jay Winner making a rotation into the fight, they can now push for this Phoenix as well, and maybe look to go take out the Portal Demon right after this. Little too low for Fire Giant, but Portal Demon's a great option. Freeze just off the mark, and Zing Jester is erased from existence. That's going to be another kill going the way of DePaul, putting up 21-1.
Right now with a very heavy lead, not only in kills, but the experience and the gold. Experience sitting at 19.7 thousand and 14,500 gold, all in favor of DePaul University. And with no level 20s, that is all pure level advantage. And right now, I mean, Paradox has to be, right now, one of my MVP of this game so far. His rotations have been on point. He is so far leading at 11-0 for his team. Even with Amaterasu kind of trailing behind in player damage right there, he has ultimately been the force that has changed the pace and really carried his team to this point.
Oh, he is for sure carrying the team on his back right now. Not to say that the rest of his team isn't excelling in what they do, but as you said, 11-0 right now at the 18-minute mark. The Fire Giant has been started up by Cardinal, but I think it's just a bait to see what they can do. Paradox erases Dragon Vapor, and that's going to be one more casualty for St. Lawrence. And it looks like Donkey Bringer's not making it out alive either as Twizzix picks up that kill.
Now we're going to see Dwinner come crashing down, and Fear No Evil going to be used, erasing Queen Twist off the map, and Nike soon to fall after. Again, Zing Jester, the only one to live past his team. A beautiful jump, going to be able to dodge that wall out, but it's not going to be able to save his life. With the Phoenix down and 5 members strong, a deicide should spell the end of this game. DePaul University running in, and that is going to be it. The Titan is done, the surrender comes out, and St. Lawrence take the first loss in this best of 3.
Yeah, and a commanding victory for DePaul University. As we said, 21-6. Paradox on a tear, 14-0-9 to finish out the end of this first game. It's going to be a long, long climb for St. Lawrence into the next game. And honestly, the game kind of comes back down onto Zing Jester, not able to get those solid rotations, falling behind in farm, and just getting picked off so often. 0, 9, and 0 on that Fenrir. Probably not what they really wanted out of that match.
Yeah, ultimately just kind of falling behind. Zing Jester really needs to be a little bit stronger in the early game, and honestly, they need to do something about Paradox's rotations. He was just all over the place, able to get everything he wanted done. 23, almost 24,000 player damage, and sitting at level 18, 14, 0, and 9. I mean, again, he had probably the longest impact, or largest impact.
For sure. We're going to be right back as we're getting ready to set up for this next game. It's going to be Game 2, DePaul University versus St. Lawrence College. We will be back in just a moment.
Fire makes the city looks so bright. Close your eyes and just stay tight. We have to go. Stay with me while we leave. Don't worry, just believe me. This journey will relieve us. Stay with me while we leave. Stay with me while we leave. Don't worry, just believe me. This journey will relieve us. Stay with me.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back from our brief break. We are now here with Game 2. It's St. Lawrence against DePaul University. St. Lawrence currently down 0-1 against DePaul after a commanding Game 1, but we are flying through these picks and bans. Bans on the table: Thanatos, Rom, Sylvanas, Izanami on the side of DePaul, and over for St. Lawrence, it's Apollo, Scylla, Giannis, and Amaterasu.
A big thing to note is first pick got through Thoth now on the side of St. Lawrence. And I'm interested to see how they're going to be able to handle this. King Twist not performing very well on that Raw, not really underperforming, but just not having much of an impact. So having that there on his side should be relatively strong. On the other side, though, we're seeing a Neith and Cabrakan actually got picked up.
Yeah, I saw the Cabrakan. I'm not surprised by Cabrakan. I'm surprised by the fact that this is likely a Cabrakan support. Lately, we've been seeing him more as a solo lane bully, or even in the jungle to be kind of that really tanky magical force that you don't want to deal with. But this time being picked up, which will go into the solo lane, or not the solo lane, the support role with Cardinal Leaf. On top of that, Vamana, Poseidon, and Ratatosk picked up for DePaul University. This is a very dangerous lineup.
And I'm actually really intrigued to see what St. Lawrence is going to be pulling out, not only because they have the Thoth, they managed to grab this Khepri again, but they went into a few picks that I don't think I'm used to seeing, and at least not in Season 4 so far, and that is going to be Susano. I mean, he had a very long run. He hasn't really had anything done to him to warrant him not or falling off, except for the fact that others have just become a little bit stronger. So it's going to be interesting to see Zing Jester. He didn't have that great of an impact on that Fenrir, ended up being at 0-9, but Susano's a little bit of a different beast. He might be able to kind of turn that around and exploit, especially Twizzix now on this beside. No real getaway except for that movement speed ability to kind of push him away. So Susano here, Zing Jester, I'm looking at him. If he can perform a little bit better this game, it should be a lot closer. But DePaul, I mean, 3 of their picks are some of the top picks for their roles right now, sitting in that Ratatosk, that Poseidon, and that Vamana. And honestly, even with Cardinal Leaf taking Cabrakan out of the usual, solo lane or even the jungle, he's going to have a kill lane. He's going to have a lot of damage early on. And Cupid, with that dash, still able to get away, but ultimately, I just don't see it going well for St. Lawrence so far.
Yeah, this is going to be a very hard match. Another thing to note is that we may be having a lane swap here. Looks like Seleucus Nicator, I think that's the way that it's said. Their former solo laner looks like they may be moving into the mid lane and putting King Twist on the solo lane tier this time around. So we may be seeing a slightly different performance out of this team with the slight little role swap there. But as you mentioned, a lot of top picks for DePaul. And sure, St. Lawrence, they got the top pick Thoth. They got the mid lane mage that they wanted. But how is it going to perform against Twizzix Poseidon? He showed us that he doesn't care that Scylla's not an early game god, because all he did was bring his jungler in. He got through the early game. Once he hit level 8, he was on a tear at that point. So we're going to see how they can do with this Thoth versus it. And the Cupid, I can see the Cupid pickup, and I can see why they picked it up. But is he going to be able to do it this time around? We will see if St. Lawrence can pull it in and go to a Game 3 against DePaul, but it's going to be a tough uphill battle for them. We'll be back in just a moment with the start of the game.
Stay with me while we leave. Don't worry, just believe me. This journey will relieve us. Stay with me while we leave. Stay with me while we leave. Don't worry, just believe me. This journey will relieve us. Stay with me while we leave. Stay with me.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the AVGO College Smite League. It's Game 2 of our second set of the night. St. Lawrence currently down 0-1 against DePaul University. We're going to see if they can pull it back in this game with seemingly stronger picks, but also some kind of questionable ones.
And right now, I mean, we're already seeing a lot of the same aggression that we would expect to see. I mean, DePaul University being able to control it. And honestly, I'm looking over at Paradox on this right-hand lane, not able to catch out anyone that he wants for the kill yet. Although Zotrain actually going to go under the tower and take too many shots and lose first blood.
Zing Jester, the bait master supreme, almost baits himself into those minions there, able to help assist for the first blood. However, Paradox and Twizzix were able to rotate over and get that solo lane. Zotrain a little over aggressive there.
Yeah, and I mean, a little might be an understatement. Taking the tower, especially a level 1, is a little bit too much. Already forced to use that teleport glyph. Going to cause some trouble, but the rest of his team already picking up some of that slack, stealing away the speed buff, stealing away the red buff now, and ultimately, I mean, Paradox is doing the same thing kind of that we saw last game, just making these rotations where he is going to be the most effective, is now a two-man gank, having 4 people in this duo lane, and they are none the wiser on St. Lawrence.
Wave clear is down, and we know that Dragon Vapor doesn't have that dash and is going to perish because of it. That Whirlpool from Twizzix making sure that the enemy team can't escape, and that's a clean 2 kills for DePaul University.
And another buff being picked up as well. Purple buff going to be going onto the belt of Cardinal Leaf here. And that's going to give Dwinner, again, another advantage. And this unorthodox start, I mean, this time, instead of going for the Devourer's Gauntlet second item, he started up that Light Blade. So he has quite a few options. Might be going into the Aussie to get that little bit of extra pin and lifesteal. Oracle Harpies going down. And, I mean, honestly, overall advantage so far seems to be for DePaul in the mid, in the duo. Solo lane might be a little rough just because of the early death on Zotrain, but ultimately, DePaul University seem to have the steering wheel back in their clutches.
Yeah, and right now, unfortunately, Thoth's sitting a little bit too far behind, not quite level 4 yet, and hasn't really had that assistance from his jungler to be able to push here. Has been free farming, but we all know that Thoth really isn't a god of early presence. He's just kind of there. Has to use a few too many abilities to clear the wave. As you can see, this is now his 4th ability in order to fully clear out that wave there. Maybe even his 5th one, but I think he dropped 2 glyphs there. So not really starting off too well for the mid laner and jungler on St. Lawrence right now.
And it's going to be a rough game for them, especially because we have this role swap, which we were talking about during picks and bans, but King Twist now going over into the solo lane. So far, it's been a little bit fruitful. He did get first blood, but kind of pushing this Thoth role, like pushing into the mid lane, having their solo laner, someone who may or may not be comfortable with this. Of course, having Thoth should be able to kind of help counter that.
Jay Winner needs to be careful. Unfortunately, that heart bomb is going to miss, but the minion aggro and the root from Khepri is going to cause a little bit of a problem. Forces out the meditation from DePaul there. They need to be really careful there.
Yeah, and with Cardinal Leaf, I actually expect the aggression to be going more in favor of DePaul University because of their health bars and this rotation from Zing Jester. I expect to see both members of DePaul fall back, go into the base, heal up, and honestly, like even trying to contend this might not be worthwhile.
Rotation from Twizzix, though, is going to get the Kraken out onto Zing and not able to run away there. Heart Bomb is going to stun out 2 of them, but Kraken's going to turn onto Dragon Vapor, but the meditation is going to be enough to keep both of them alive for now.
Now Thoth is in the neighborhood, going to be able to hit one little bit of damage. The stun going to come out and connect. He's charging his ult, looking for the shot, and is able to find it. Picking up the second kill for his team there and able to find something. And his presence is going to be enough. Cardinal Leaf not going to fight. Glyph's going to come out. He's going to be shooting down, but not able to find it as King Twist going to once again find a solo kill on to Zotrain.
Zotrain not looking so hot this game, playing a little bit too aggressive and not really respecting the damage that comes out from Tyr in this early stage. Speaking of aggression, Donkey Bringer teaming takes out Cardinal Leaf. Dragon Vapor gets rooted out by the Spirit Arrow from Jay Winner, but so far, DePaul is looking a little bit shaky this game.
And I also think that St. Lawrence is looking a lot better, switching the roles up and putting King Twist over there in the solo lane, allowing them to kind of, I honestly feel a lot more comfortable. It looks like they're a little bit more prepared to deal with whatever DePaul pulls out. And of course, DePaul, I mean, 3 of their picks, like I said, are some of the top picks right now. Their duo lane's a little bit off, but honestly, they're still playing very well. I think we're seeing St. Lawrence, maybe that first game they just needed to warm up, this role swap definitely working for them.
Yeah, it's definitely working out a lot better, especially over in the solo lane. King Twist looks a lot more comfortable on this tier than he did that Raw last game. Not that working out the best for him, but over in the dual lane, Zotrain is going to pick up Zing Jester. Team Twist did not make that rotation into that team fight, and a 3 versus 1 collapse there is going to be the downside of Jester.
Now, Kraken was ultimately used. The Twizzix not going to have his ultimate for a couple more seconds here, but ultimately not seeming too necessary. I feel like the fight might have been very helpful, but as it stands right now, we're going to see DePaul go for these Oracle Harpies. They just got the left-hand mid Harpies, and their farming game, even if their fighting game so far hasn't been on par, their farming game is definitely up there.
Yeah, as they're now with those Oracles now sitting dead even in gold, and experience is only a 1,200 advantage for them. So while they're not doing the best in fights, they're at least maintaining an even game experience and gold-wise. Right now, Thoth is kind of the one who we need to be paying attention to, as well as Zing Jester on that Susanoo. They were falling behind very early in the stages of the game. Thoth is picking it back up, but Zing Jester really needs to work on that farm game.
And this is kind of similar to what we saw last time. He's just not able to find the right place. And I feel like transitioning as a jungler from Season 3, Zing Jester might be having a little bit of difficulty adapting to the rotations and the playstyle for Season 4 right now. And it's kind of showing already 2 levels behind, 2 deaths to his name on the Susanoo. and not able to do much, especially as his solo laner is getting ganked right now. He's coming into the backline. We're going to see the ultimate come out. Lawbringer used just to get away, but Zotrain going up into the Big Baby, going to be chasing down, and Zing Jester is the main target.
Yeah, Big Baby's just going to keep swinging that bat around, but it's really just going to be to get that extra HP. Forced to back was King Twist, but he does have that teleport glyph, is able to come back into the fight, no problem. I've got 3 members over here, and Zotrain just aggressively dashed into all 3 of them. Not sure that's going to work out. Paradox turns the corner, but a great stun from Thoth may spell the doom of him indeed, as Solucius is able to pick up the kill onto the enemy jungler.
And I was almost able to get out of there, almost able to do what he wanted, but Paradox not being in the right place at that time, and ultimately falling for it. As it stands, I mean, St. Lawrence, again, last game, while it seemed like DePaul, they were just running away with it. They are showing that they are not out of this fight just yet. I expected to see something very similar to last game, but right now it is showing this Thoth pick has definitely benefited them.
Very questionable team fight over in the duo lane, as Donkeybringer was forced to use his ultimate to try and help out Dragon Vapor, despite being pretty high in HP and still having that dash to get away from the Cabrakan ult. Neathult was also expended from Jay Winter, which didn't really do anything but tickle the shield away from Donkeybringer. So that's a major fight out of the way, while Dragon Vapor still has the Fields of Love in case another fight breaks out.
And that Fields of Love is going to be very good, especially if we see another 4-man gank onto the left-hand side, onto this Cupid, trying to do something. And while Scotty didn't work out, he seems a little bit more comfortable again on this Scotty. And comfort right now is exactly what St. Lawrence has needed. And, I mean, they're leading right now in kills. They are not leading, however, in the gold or the experience, actually sitting down about 2,600 experience and only about 400 gold. So the gold ultimately doesn't matter, but that experience difference is really going to be hurting them the later this game goes. Especially
since the mid the mid lane and the jungler are the ones who are down in experience at the moment. It's 3 levels down for Zing Jester and 2 levels for Solucius. I was trying to get my words there for a second, but this is where the big disparity is, and this is why I said these are the players we need to be paying attention to, is how are these two going to get back into this game? They've really got to pay attention to their farming. They've got to get some camps. They got to get a few picks off, because otherwise, getting to the late stage of the game, Thoth is going to be much weaker than Poseidon when we get into the late stage if he's this far behind. Get them even, and Thoth is going to be, in my opinion, infinitely more powerful than the Poseidon.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be kind of the tale of levels. It's the same thing with the Scylla, but I want to say less scaled. And of course, last game we got to see Scylla get ahead very early on. This game, Poseidon doing the same thing. But really, Thoth is the one who needs that. He still can perform from behind. Is Cabrakan going to throw down the wall? Fields of Love is used, but Cabrakan chasing him down, trying to get it, but the dash comes out. Donkeybringer going to be forced to use that meditation, and the rotation from Thoth should be enough to stop the aggression, but the ult, again, used a little prematurely, as here comes Ratatoskr, is not going to be able to find the revive, and ultimately Paradox being patient there is going to result in a kill.
And King Twist getting a solo kill onto Zotrain yet again. King Twist, as we said, looking much more comfortable on the tier this game. But is that comfort tier going to be enough to keep his team alive in this game? Sure, he's up 3-0, but that's half of the kills of his team. 2 of them on that mid lane Thoth, but as we said, he's falling behind right now. He needs to get those levels up, because Thoth scales much better with levels, and especially better with items. Paradox gets the dash out into Solucius, but that's really going to spell the end of that aggression there.
He's still trying to fight it out and getting a lot of damage down. Actually going to be able to find the kill in the mid lane and run away with his life. Nothing that Zing Jester can really do about it after expending all of his abilities, all of his damage, not able to help him kill.
Goodbye, Jester. The Whirlpool Kraken is enough to take him out, and Twizzix gets his 3rd kill for the game. Zing Jester not really pathing too well there, as there's a Cabrakan and a Poseidon sitting in the mid lane, and he just kind of walked in there, didn't really pay his respects to him.
We're also going to be seeing, I want to say, like, just out of respect when it comes down to it, King Twist being able to respect the fact that with these 2 people chasing him down, he's going to have to get away. Paradox looking for the kill, trying to help Zotrain get back into this game, not only be able to get the knock up and ultimately find the kill. And that's, I mean, the tier 1 in mid has fallen down. We're going to see some aggression over here in this right lane. And I feel, again, this falls down. Zing Jester just not being able to make the rotations and not keeping up with Paradox.
No, he's not able to keep up in levels, not able to keep up in farm either. A great pull on the Cardinal Leaf over in the duo lane as well as the Fields of Love. It's going to keep him going for a little bit, but Meditation is going to keep him alive, and Twizzix has made the rotation. Twizzix picks up one. Cardinal Leaf in the Tremors along with Donkey Bringer is going to eventually fall here to Cardinal Leaf, and that's going to be a 2-0 exchange in that duo lane.
And that's going to allow them a little bit of free reign. Thoth making this rotation over. Susano also going to be in this neighborhood. And with Tyr teleporting back to his lane, it's going to stop the aggression there in the solo lane. The stun going to come out. Thoth could find a kill, and he's going to be able to pick that up. Neith's going to be looking for something, but Zing Jester is here, and he's going to be able to get the CC. Ult coming through, going to do enough damage as Zing Jester going to be able to pick up his first kill of the game and honestly be able to help
but Paradox is in the air, and Zing actually is going to be ignored because of the minions. Instead, takes his aggression onto Solutions, continuing the aggression down in the tower. Dash and auto attacks to secure it. Free double kill for Paradox as the ultimates and escapes were down for the St. Lawrence team.
Minions are incredibly strong, and if you underestimate the amount of damage you're going to take from that, especially when you're a level 9 Susano fighting a level 13 Ratatoskr, you're going to pay for it, and ultimately Zing Jester falling down there. That was really just unfortunate positioning from him, as now King Twister looking to be the one in an unfortunate position, getting chased down by 3 members, and Twizzix going to be able to pick up that kill under that.
That Ratatoskr just blinked in. My man Paradox, feeling himself, picks up the blink for his second relic of the game, blinked into that to get the extended range to make sure that he could dash in and at least be there for that kill. Paradox has been doing very well on this Ratatoskr. And on top of the minions in that last one, the Bluestone Pendant, it's just something that we've mentioned previously, is junglers can pick up 2 starter items now if they so wish, with the Bombus Mask now only being 500 gold. Bluestone coupled with the minions is what got that kill onto there. Well, right now, duo lane being pushed up. 4 members of St. Lawrence going to try and get a rotation over here. Cardinal Leaf, Fields of Love down onto it, but that's really going to be about it.
Now Dwinner going to be able to backflip away from there. The stun not connecting. Heart Bomb will connect, though. Cardinal Leaf popping a sprint just to get away. Not going to get stunned down, though. He's getting pulled into the damage as much as they can, but he is a tanky Cabrakan and honestly doesn't seem to be too worried as the rest of his team is now making this rotation. Whirlpool will be able to come out and get a lot of damage down. That's going to be 2 kills. Twizzix being able to pick up a double kill, and that gank did not go the way that St. Lawrence wanted it to.
Especially the fact they didn't have that Kraken available for it to begin with. Ratatoskr comes crashing down, goes onto Dragon Vapor, and is now going to push into Solutions, but a great Thought Stun is going to keep Paradox from continuing in that Tier 1 tower.
Now, they were holding their grip relatively well early on, and they haven't fallen at so far behind that they're out of this game, but right now, DePaul University has found their footing. They know where they want to be, and Thoth looking to get Kraken down. Not enough damage, but Paradox is sitting behind him, and he's going to go for the stun. Might be able to stun, but not enough, because that dash is going to be good, and Paradox finding his 7th kill in the game, and 2 members sitting at 7 and 1 on the side of DePaul, and they are ultimately going to be able to find themselves in a very comfortable spot, making these rotations around the map.
Paradox sitting 21 kills amongst these 2 sets, and there's still more of this game to go. Paradox, the hard carry for his team, blinks over the wall just to be able to get over to that speed buff. King Twist is going to use that Fearless to throw Zotrain against the wall, but that's really going to be about it, as Vamana does have that very strong escape.
And we're going to be seeing them luckily get out of there away for them. Their team not going to be able to give up any experience that they have now colluded. 17 kills to 8, and now it's looking like Dwinner might fall down, though. It's going to be a 9th kill on the side. King Twist going to be able to find himself 1, and they were able to pick up those mid Harpies as well, I believe, as now in a good position maybe to do this Portal Demon.
And while I do enjoy seeing another kill go in the way of St. Lawrence to try and keep them in this game, the kill is not going to the targets they need to. Cupid is not getting up any of these kills. King Twist picked up that last one with the Bluestone into the Power Cleave. Dragon Vapor, while he's been a part of these fights, has been denied a few of the kills that he so desperately needs to really stay ahead in this game. One thing to note, Jay Winner, look at the 3rd item in his inventory.
Yeah, opting into the Magi's Blessing, especially on Neith, is a little confusing. Not going to have that damage going down as Paradox going up into the sky, going to come crashing down, I assume, for a kill. This time going to be onto Zing Jester instead of going for that Thoth. And now with Tears standing in between all of these members, it's only a matter of time before they burst him down. The heal going to be good, though, and this Tier 2 might cause some deterring, but no, Zotrain is going to go in, and they are looking for blood.
Zotrain doesn't care. He's going to keep aggressing, but it's going to be a two-man Fearless against the tower. And King Twist looks like he may pick up one here. Paradox is going to fall. Zotrain's going to be forced to run away into Big Baby. But in the mid lane, Twizzix takes out Donkey Bringer with the Kraken. And Cardinal picks up Dragon Vapor with the Seismic Crush.
That was another example. DePaul University getting a little bit too aggressive, ends up resulting in another death. But right now, they still have the lead. They're still controlling it. 5,700 gold and 12,700 experience, and it looks like they're going to be adding a Portal Demon under that belt, as nobody on St. Lawrence is over here. Their vision doesn't cover it. They don't know that this is happening.
And it's getting very low. However, both members are out of mana on the side of DePaul, but they're going to be able to pick this up no problem, because now Zotrain has made the rotation over. Portal Demon, first one of the match, going over to DePaul, but the chase is on. Paradox, however, comes through the portal, hits Zing Jester, but one auto and the dash is going to be able to pick him up. 5 levels behind is this Susanoo, and 7 deaths on him. This is a very hard game for Zing Jester.
Twizzix barely able to escape King Twist in that last engagement, who's now getting aggressed on by Paradox one more time, taking a lot of damage, able to heal off the minions, dashing away, dodging the stun, using the ult. But Paradox is going in. He's up in the air. He should be able to notice the fact that the two-man rotation coming out. He's now in not necessarily the most favorable position, but he's going to be able to get this kill, except for the stun from Thoth, going to be a little bit too strong. Neith ult coming down, and this might turn the tide, but now Thoth getting erased off the board. That is going to be another kill for DePaul.
You may have one of the fastest dashes, but you can't go through a wall. Unfortunately, Cabrakan, a very strong counter against that Thoth to make sure that he can't escape. Members over here in the solo lane as they're trying to maybe push down this tier 2 tower, but they don't have any minions for him at the moment, and Jay Winter is severely lacking damage, as we mentioned, with that Magi's Blessing taking out damage. But Donkey Bringer going to fall, trying to defend his own speed buff against 5 members of DePaul.
And now we're seeing, again, more aggression onto this tier 2 side. Dwinner going to be getting some damage down, but that Magi is not going to get procced because he stepped beautifully out of that Fields of Love, but we're going to see Dragon Vapor fall down, Zing Jester fall down, and while Tyr is here and King Twist is able to do a little bit, ultimately not stunned out, but still looking to fall down or at least get chased out and poked down, as all the members of DePaul University are not going to let him get away with anything.
25 kills spreading across 2 sets, 11 in this game so far. Paradox on this Ratatoskr. Looking at his build, he is working it very effectively with that Hydra's Lament. Every auto attack after an ability, which he's been doing a phenomenal job of auto attack canceling with these. Couple that with the Heartsinger, where you're doing more damage with your abilities after X amount of autos. You're just going to be swinging so hard. Kraken slams onto 2 over at the blue bump, and Solutions is going to be the first one to perish. Next one is going to be the support player, Donkey Bringer, and next might look to be Zing Jester, as he's been a heavy target in these fights.
Dragon Vapor and Zing Jester right now, both level 11, not really able to contend with the minimum level 13 on DePaul University. Their highest right now, sitting at 18. Paradox one more time, 12, 2, and 7, looking to help carry his team forward as he goes for yet another kill and finds it, ticking up 13 onto his belt, and this Phoenix should ultimately fall, but they also definitely wanted this kill onto King Twist. They're looking for the ult coming through from Neith, and that should be enough to be able to pick that up.
Paradox is going to pick up that one with the dash, and Donkey Bringer is going to do what he can to try and save this Phoenix. Is going to pick up Cardinal Leaf thanks to the root and the tower shot, and may be able to pick up Paradox. No, he's going to dash away, and the ult from Thoth is not going to connect. Phoenix actually is going to fall in the solo lane.
That is going to be the first Phoenix of the game, and honestly, the only Phoenix DePaul University can get currently. Tier 2 is still standing in the mid and the left, but they are sitting up 30 kills to 11. They now have 10,000 gold advantage and a 17,000 experience advantage, and there's still no level 20s. That is pure advantage on their side. 14 to 12 in the hunters, 13 to 11 in the supports, and 19 to 11 in the junglers.
And that's where the big deficit comes in, is the 3-level difference in the mid laner and the 7-level difference in the jungler. We mentioned this at, 7 minutes in the game, that these are the two players who need to prioritize their farming and be careful, but they haven't really been able to do that, as it's been constant pressure from the DePaul lineup. Paradox has been using that ultimate on cooldown to rotate in and pick up now 14 kills this game, 14 kills last game. I mean, this man's almost at a 30 kill mark in just 2 games.
So DePaul just took the Gold Fairy for free.
Yeah.
No vision, no anything on this side of the map for St. Lawrence. They get that completely for free, extending their lead even further, as now we see Paradox come crashing down. Kraken gonna be able to connect. Xingjes are gonna fall. We're going to see Thoth next, and then Khepri, and they're continuing the chase. Cupid looking like he is the next one on the target. Paradox taking a lot of damage from the minions, might fall down to the Phoenix. The shot, not enough damage from that, but he's gonna get out with the skin of his teeth, picking up 3 kills there, 4 down on St. Lawrence, and the Phoenix is exposed, and King Twist is the only one left to be able to do anything.
And I don't think King Twist can be able to do much. Stunned, knocked up, and crippled. Twizzix picks up that kill, and is going to be able to pick up the Phoenix to follow. Tier 2 tower in the left lane is still available. It looks like that's where 3 of the members are going to go at the moment. Paradox went back to base, Twizzix shortly to follow after, but they're going to be able to tank up this tower no problem. Jay Winter on a very questionable build at this point. Not quite sure what he's thinking, but, I mean, I guess if it's working out for you, you might as well stick with it.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, it's a confusing build, but again, the rest of his team really doing the work that's needed to kind of allow him this advantage. Of course, I think we were talking before, one of the lesser experienced players on the team, but obviously still having a very decent performance. 0-2, but with 14 assists. Sprint going to be popped down as we see Cupid chasing down Dwinner, but it's not going to be able to get a kill, and we have minions pouring in, fire minions from the right-hand lane, from the mid lane, and DePaul are really just in a position, one more team fight, and they can push down this Titan.
And with that Portal Demon being dropped as well, they're going to have free access to the Fire Giant, which I imagine is what the team is doing now. 3 members have backed, and 3 members are going to be walking through. There is a ward there by St. Lawrence, but nobody is going to be able to get there in time. By the time that King Twist would even be able to get there, he would be dead. Fire Giant has been taken for free by finally, it got taken by DePaul. I thought they were going to walk away from it at 1 HP there. But they're going to now start storming down this mid lane and possibly look to end this game with the next team fight.
Now Paradox is going to be able to blink in. Going to get stunned by the heart bomb from the Harpies, which is going to delay the kill. That was an unintentionally great play by Dragon Vapor. But the Kraken's going to clean him up. That's now 2 members down, and it's looking like it's going to be 3 Xingjes falling down. Thoth not able to live too long. The slow going to be strong, but Aegis going to allow him to hit that fountain and get the healing. But with minions, with the Fire Giant and the Titan, all 5 members strong, looking to be able to clean this Titan up, and a clean 2-0 victory for DePaul. Yeah, DePaul is going to be picking up this Titan here. It will surely fall, but King Twist is going to perish one final time before so. 39 kills to 11 reads the scoreboard at nearly 25 minutes. DePaul University with a commanding 2-0 victory over St. Lawrence. Definitely showing their strength, and we were talking a little bit about these teams earlier when we had that impromptu little talk show. DePaul showing their strength, showing that they are absolutely wanting to be number 1, and Paradox leading the way for a second time, but this time he wasn't alone in that cause. Twizzix following up 13-1, 18-2. These 2 players are showing like lights out strength. These 2 are showing what DePaul University has in store for the rest of the season. Like we said, this is a potential team to be looking at to contend for first or second place amongst the division. And with the way that Paradox and Twizzix performed that game, I don't think really any of us have a question that these 2 are definitely the hard carries of their team and are performing at an exceptionally high level, especially Paradox. Yeah, it's another just great amount of strength being shown from them. St. Lawrence College, I mean, they had a lot going for them, especially that game. The first game they fell behind, but that game they were showing some strength. They held on a lot longer. Ultimately, though, they fell down, they fell behind, and a lot of it, again, I hate to put it onto one person, but Zing Jester fell behind a little bit too early. And the question really is, and we'll have to see this in next week's matches, but was it him falling behind, or was it just Paradox being able to get so far ahead? Ultimately, I mean, Paradox played really well. Zing Jester was playing very, very well, but his farming just didn't quite hit the mark. And ultimately, I mean, the 10 deaths, level 13 towards the end of that game, wasn't able to find what he wanted. And the same thing can kind of be said for Dragon Vapor. A little bit of work and they can shine brightly, but DePaul, they're looking very strong.
Yeah, for sure. They're looking exceptionally strong. I mentioned this. And I do think it does come down to the fact that Zing Jester was not able to farm because of how strong Paradox came on. He was constantly trailing him everywhere that Jester was going. Paradox was following. If Paradox wasn't on Zing Jester, I mean, he was on that dual lane trying to take out Dragon Vapor or trying to take out Silicious on that Thoth. I mean, Thoth, he had some really nice stuns. We made a few notes of it. There was some beautiful stuns coming out that kept him alive for either kept him alive or kept him alive just a little bit longer. But unfortunately, that wasn't enough. And I do hate to kind of pin it down onto one, but Zing was really what was keeping that team from shooting that much further. Dragon Vapor just getting camped over in that dual lane consistently. I mean, I think we saw Twizzix in that dual lane almost as much as we saw Paradox.
Yeah, the rotations to the dual lane, I feel, were almost constantly being done by two members from DePaul, whereas every now and then we'd seen Zing Jester show up, and sometimes Thoth would make that final rotation in, but it was just never quite the same level. In fact, I think the one time we saw a four-man rotation, the response from DePaul, not only did they not drop anybody, but they picked up all four of the kills over there in that left-hand side, two, and then two a little bit later on, and ultimately that was the one gank that I think was kind of a pivot point for this game. If it had gone the way of St. Lawrence, they would have held on a little longer. They could have turned the tide, but because it went the way it did, because it resulted in those deaths, and King Twist, I think, was the only one who lived out of all of it, it just kind of fell down. They weren't able to really find anything. And I mean, as it stands, they lost 2-0. They still have a chance. I think this team's going to be very strong going on. In the next couple of weeks, there's definitely someone to keep an eye on.
Yeah. My eye for this team is definitely on King Twist to see what he can do. When he switched out of that mid lane and onto his comfort pick tier in that solo lane, he performed so much better. And I think if we can get Dragon Vapor on a little bit more of a meta pick, I guess you can say, something like that Apollo, the Izanami, or a Rom, I think that he can really start shining. But these kind of off picks are what really crippled him in these games. So with that, DePaul University gets their first win for the season at 2-0 over St. Lawrence. They still have quite a few matches to go, and anything can happen in this league. So with that being said, that is the end of our stream tonight. We had some crazy Smite, to say the least, happen today. And we have a lot more Smite action for you guys ahead in this season. This was the third season of the AVGL, the first match of the season. My name has been J Mac Tucker. Along with me has been Gore Meiser, my fellow caster, and we'd like to give a thanks to our production man, Jithens. He's been doing a phenomenal job tonight with all of the graphic work that you've been seeing running the show. We'd like to also give a beautiful shout out to our admin, Chu, as Chu is a god among men. I must say that.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff that he has done for the league is insane. And I mean, it's not even just the league. The stuff he does behind the scenes, and honestly, all of the admins that they do behind the scenes is insane. And being able to put this all together, we're looking forward to a great season. I mean, all the work that's been done, it's going to be great. And I'm honestly excited going forward.
And with that, we'd like to thank all of you guys for coming out to watch some Smite tonight. And we'll be back on Thursday for our second match night of the season. So until then, from all of us here at the AVGL, we wish you a very great night and have some fun playing at Smite this week, as we do have a new patch hitting this Tuesday.